Episode 17 of Trying British Foods. I live in Manhattan and I have discovered a shop that sells British food items that are not otherwise available in American stores, so I am working my way through recommendations that you all send to me. To drink this evening, I have this Belvoir Farm elderflower. Now, of course, we would pronounce this cordial. I'm assuming you don't. I'm assuming you pronounce this cordial. But I'm also assuming, just because I'm learning the pattern from all of you by now, that you almost certainly have like a completely unconnected nickname for this, like you do with everything else. Like you'll say like, oh yeah, well technically it's cordial, but we all call it snaps and bubbles. We never had elderflower flavored anything, so this will be entirely new for me. The only thing that was surprising to me on the back is that it says to dilute this up to 1 to 10, so 1 part of this with 10 parts water. That just seems like a lot of water. Everything else I've done has been 1 part, with 4 parts water. So I've stuck to that 1 to 4 ratio to try this just because I really want to make sure I'm getting the taste of this. Blackcurrant flavored jelly. I thought this would be a good one to do because, of course, we would call this either Jell-O or gelatin. Jelly here is a very different thing. It's more similar to jam. There's actually an entirely separate video about this very topic in this playlist, so go watch that to learn more. So I wanted to note, for the Americans who watch this, which I know there's like 2 of you, unlike our Jell-O, which comes in powder form when you buy it, this came as gelatin. So it was like the size and shape of like a bar of soap of gelatin, and then you use that to mix with the water and let it set to make what we would call Jell-O or gelatin, but we'll call it jelly today because that's what we're trying. Then I'm very excited to have these ginger nuts. Yes, I was just in the shop today and I saw these just resting on the shelf, and I don't know what came over me. I just couldn't keep my hands off them. You can see this underneath ginger nuts. It says the fiery one underneath. So this is the Sarah Ferguson. This is the Jerry Halliwell. I have a lot of suggestions for this. I have a picnic chocolate bar, also from Cadbury. So this is milk chocolate with caramel, peanut, crispy cereal, and dried grapes. Dried grapes, isn't that raisins? Just raisins? Okay. Elderflower cordial. This is wonderful. I love this flavor. It's kind of sort of, I guess like white grape juice, kind of what we would have here, but this is much more herbal, much more, it's too sweet to really be very therapeutic, but I can imagine in a different context, this would be like a great tea. I actually wish I'd followed the bottle directions a little bit closer. I do think this needs to be diluted more than 1 to 4. Personally, I would say dilute this maybe 1 to 6, 1 to 7, something like that, because in this form it's just a little too concentrated and there's just a little bit too much sugar. So I wish there were just a little bit more water, but otherwise this is really good. 10 out of 10. The blackcurrant jelly. This is good. I will admit it has been a while since I've had gelatin of any kind, so I feel like I'm losing my reference point of what it's supposed to taste like. This tastes perfectly good and almost essentially the same as our gelatin, our Jell-O. Not terribly sweet, not a whole lot of flavor. That might be a bit of a regional difference there, but perfectly good. Exactly what it's supposed to be. No real surprises here. I like this though. Now the ginger nuts. So I happen to have a cup of tea here as well, so having them like this. So disappointingly, I am definitely tasting the ginger. I am not really tasting the nuts. Where do nuts come in to this? These taste just like ginger cookies or ginger, like little things you would have. I'm not sure where they get off adding the nuts here. It doesn't have a particularly nutty flavor. There are no actual nuts in this. I'm a little disappointed there, but if we're talking about just like a nice little ginger cookie to go with coffee or tea, perfectly good. I wouldn't call it fiery, yeah, I just wish there were more nuts or that they were bigger. The picnic bar. So much commentary about how I open chocolate bars, or how Americans open chocolate bars. So, aside from the Curly Wurly, which was sort of its own separate thing, I think this is probably my favorite chocolate bar I've had on this series so far, only because it has the most going on in terms of texture and flavor. Like, it's not too sweet in the way that the Boost bar was, and it's not too dry like the Lion bar was. Like, this seems to be perfect all around. Actually, there are quite a number of nuts in this. We need to put the nuts from the picnic bar into the ginger nuts, and then everyone will be happy. Thank you very much for the recommendations, and I'll see you next time.